Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into two incredible stories from a single school. And believe me, they couldn't be more different. One is about power and cruelty, and the other is about, well, obsession. And both have some pretty big consequences.
Think about your own school days for a second. I bet you have some amazing memories, right? But probably some tough ones too. School is just like that. And the two stories we're exploring today really show those two extremes perfectly. So, our setting is a school, where students are about to face two totally different kinds of challenges. One is born from pure cruelty, and the other? It comes from a pretty comical obsession that just goes way, way too far.
Let's kick things off with the story of a new teacher, Seema. When she arrived, she brought this chilling fear into the classroom, a kind of cold that had nothing to do with the winter weather outside.
Now, Seema's cruelty wasn't just random acts of meanness. Oh no, this was systematic, and it just kept getting worse. First, it was things like stuffing ice down kids' sweaters if they made a mistake on their homework. Then it escalated to forcing students like Raju and Chutki to actually massage her feet. From there, she started inspecting every single kid's lunch, and if she didn't like what they brought, they were punished. And that led to the final, unbelievably cruel step, forcing a little girl, Meena, to stand barefoot on a giant block of ice. This wasn't about discipline anymore. This was just pure sadism.
And here's how she got away with it. This single threat, this was her ultimate weapon. She made it crystal clear that if they told anyone at all, the punishment would be even worse. So you can imagine the kids were trapped. They were terrified that speaking up would just make things harder. And they figured, who's going to believe a kid over a teacher, right?
So this wasn't just a bad day. This became their new reality. A month-long nightmare filled with constant fear. It got so bad that young Raju started lying to his mom, pretending to be sick just so he wouldn't have to go to school. The whole terrifying situation finally reached its breaking point when she forced the entire class to go outside and lie down in the freezing snow.
But just when it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, an unexpected gift turned one of these students into a secret agent. Seriously, this is where the story takes a turn, almost like a spy movie. So Raju's uncle comes back from a trip abroad, and he gives Raju a present. It's a pen. You can imagine Raju's reaction, right? Just a pen? A little disappointing for sure. But here's the thing. This was no ordinary pen. Because this wasn't just any old pen. It was basically a spy gadget. It had a hidden camera inside that could record both video and audio, and nobody would ever know. And in that moment, Raju realized this was it. This was his chance. He could finally get undeniable proof of what Seema was doing. So the very next day, he clipped that pen to his pocket and went to school, ready to capture the truth.
And it worked. The evidence from that spy pen exposed everything. When the authorities saw the footage of Seema forcing those kids to lie in the snow, it was all over. She was arrested, and it later came out that she was suffering from a serious mental disorder. Now, we're going to shift gears completely. We're leaving that dark story behind and moving to another classroom and another story, not of cruelty, but of a truly relentless obsession.
All right, let's meet Aditi. She's a 9th grader with a passion, a very, very singular and all-consuming passion for radish parathas.
And when I say passion, I'm not kidding. This wasn't just a preference, this was an ultimatum. After waiting all summer for radishes to be in season, she laid down the law for her mother: no parathas, no school. Simple as that.
Her consumption level was, well, just look at this chart. It's absolutely staggering. We're talking about a diet of 12 radish parathas every single day. 4 for dinner, 4 for breakfast, and then another 4 packed for lunch. It was a complete and total lack of moderation, and her dad kind of enabled it. Whenever they ran out of radishes, he'd just hop online and order more. Now, you can probably guess where this is going. Consuming that many radish parathas comes with a very noticeable and a very embarrassing side effect. And this is where it all builds to a smelly and mortifying climax. It started in the classroom, but then it got worse. She started dance practice for the school's annual function, which made her hungrier, so she ate even more parathas. Then came the big day, the most important event of the school year. She's on stage, and her obsession leads to total public humiliation. The smell was so overwhelming that her dance partners fled the stage, and then the entire audience got up and left, leaving her all alone up there.
That kind of public shame? Yeah, that'll do it.
It was the powerful, embarrassing wake-up call she desperately needed. She went to her mother in tears, apologized, and promised she would never, ever eat radish parathas again. So there you have it, two wildly different stories, all from the same school. Let's really unpack what these two fables can teach us about two very different kinds of challenges, the challenge of courage versus the challenge of control.
When you boil it down, it's pretty clear. Seema's story is all about the importance of courage, right? It shows how a single, clever, brave act can expose a great evil and bring down a tyrant. But Aditi's story is the opposite. It's about an internal struggle. It teaches us about mastering our own desires and how a complete lack of self-control can lead to our own downfall.
So that leaves us with a really interesting question. Which battle is actually harder to fight? The one against a powerful force outside of us, or the one against a powerful desire within us? In the end, both of these fables show us that the lessons we learn in school aren't always about math or history. Sometimes they're about character, courage, and control. And those are the lessons that stick with us for life. Thanks for joining this explainer.